following is a paid political announcement.
This is Marty Dolan. I ran against Jamal Bowman and AOC because I believe New York City needs to turn away from socialism after 5 years of disastrous policies. Now I'm running for public advocate so we can get New York City back to basics and focus on the municipal excellence you deserve. Go to martydolan.org to find out how you can help. I'm Marty Dolan. I approve this message, paid for by Marty Dolan for office.
It's a common sense recap of the big stories. It's Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, the strike is over, Steve, and interest rates started to head back up today. So what does it all mean?
What it all means is that, first of all, we have an economy that is in really two parts, tale of two economies, as you know. Over half the country is still struggling from paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of the jobs being created are part-time jobs or people taking on extra jobs. So many people are doing very well, but a lot more people are struggling. So in terms of the inflation front, the Federal Reserve is now letting interest rates come down a little bit, but the market ultimately sets interest rates, and they don't like what they see. You find out that the gold price has been moving up. That's a sign that they think the Federal Reserve is not defending the dollar. The dollar's going down in currency markets against things like the euro and the yen of all things. So the economy is wobbly. And I think the markets, they still go up. But that jobs report today, John, very good jobs report. However, the number of hours worked went down. So more people working fewer hours. That's not a good signal for the future.
Does that mean more part-timers or is just less hours?
Both. The work week went down slightly, and you have some more part-timers. And so you have a situation where, the economy's still moving ahead, but there's some turbulence out there.
So the question is, are the numbers real? Because every quarter for the last year or so, they were up and they were down. And it's, we made a mistake. I mean, can anybody believe the numbers anymore?
You have to take them with a grain of salt. That's why you don't take 1 month's number and chisel them in stone. And that's why, too, it was sort of strange. I think the Labor Department has been, Bureau of Labor Statistics has been under real pressure and criticism for the huge adjustments they make each jobs report. So you notice this time, very few adjustments, and instead of plummeting, it went up 21,000. So that has to make you suspicious. The thing is, they have what they call seasonal adjustment. And for example, in December, the number of jobs goes way up. But if you look at seasonal adjustments, it's up mildly. Then in January, when a lot of the part-time holiday workers go out of the workforce, you have a huge plummet in the workforce. But seasonally adjusted, it looks like it's going up. So you have all these variables out there. And so, again, you have to take it with a proverbial grain of salt and then look at what's happening in the real world marketplace. Things are still kind of shaky out there.
What industries are going in the right directions? Which industries are going in the wrong directions? Retail. I think there are more problems there. What say you?
Well, yes, and you have some retailers doing very nicely, but as you well know, a lot of retailers, you see it every day, especially in the restaurant industry, are going down for the count. They can't make it. And the danger for the future, John, is you've got a lot of regulations coming down the line that are going to smash small businesses, which is why we've got to have a wave of deregulation come next January.
Ed Cox, anything?
Yeah, interesting that the dollar's getting weaker. What's the reason for that, Steve?
People are losing faith in the dollar. And the Federal Reserve, one of the things the Fed does is they do not look at the value of the dollar. And the whole definition of inflation, monetary inflation, not talking about if you get a strike and that temporarily raises prices or you have a lockdown. What you have with monetary inflation is you're undermining the integrity of the dollar. And the best cure for that is stop printing too many dollars. But the Federal Reserve, curiously, still believes prosperity causes inflation. Oh, the economy may come back too quickly. No, prosperity doesn't cause inflation. Undermining the value of the dollar, So the Fed doesn't pay attention to that. So when they start to undermine the value of the dollar, they're ignoring symptoms. It's like getting a bad cough and saying, oh, that's nothing, and then you end up with pneumonia.
How does the Fed stop printing dollars when you've got a $2 trillion a year deficit, which is what we have now?
Yeah, and that gets to a very important point is mechanically, the Fed just doesn't buy government bonds. As you know, when the Fed buys a government bond, it pays for it with money created out of thin air. Let's say they go call up Goldman and say, we want $1 billion of bonds. So Goldman delivers the bonds, and then if the Fed credits Goldman's account $1 billion, where does that $1 billion come from? Thin air.
Poof!
It's the ultimate ATM. It's better than manna.
I remember that show on television. It was called Bewitched.
Yeah, that's right.
Hopefully the dollar doesn't go poof.
So stop creating money out of thin air. So much of it. You need to create money to meet the legitimate needs of the economy. But the Fed doesn't pay attention to that. So if you get, for example, this good jobs report, even though it's got some very serious warning signals in there, and they're still too much dependent on the government spending and industries related on government spending, the Fed may say, well, instead of letting interest rates come down 50 basis points after the election, we may only do 25.
Yep.
They should just get their hands off of the economy, because all they do is muck it up.
Well, they're mucking it up.
Union. It doesn't work.
Yes. Steve Forbes, thank you for giving us an update, and we'll catch up again soon.
Look forward to it. Thank you, John. Keep up the good fight.